So this is our second group meeting. So the first one was in January, and this is the second one, of course. And today we have two more experts with me. One is Nava, and other is Karthik. We also expected one more expert to join us, but he was busy with some of his own personal stuff. So yeah, I'll try to cover up his slides today. So Raghu's slides, but I think we can just get started with the highlights. So highlights basically includes whatever we have achieved so far. If you can see my screen, then we have achieved over 80 members in the Discord server. So most of them are active. That's a good thing that you are actively discussing questions and answering and helping each other. And recently, I've also seen that we are also putting in information about new jobs. And yeah, so those kind of information is also being added there, which is a really good sign. And in the Facebook group, we have 67 members at the moment. I think it's 68 now. This slide is 1 day old. So maybe, yeah. And in the last 1 month, I interviewed four experts, or you can say guests. So the recent one was Pradyumna, who's basically a software tester who came into Germany on the job seeker visa. And then before that, I interviewed John Norris. He's a recruiter in Python and machine learning, and he's in Germany, and he specifically recruits for German companies and startups. And before that, I interviewed Raghu, who is a SAP consultant who also found his job while he was in India, and he got a employment visa instead of a job seeker visa and came here, I think, 3 months ago. And then before that, I interviewed Nava. Nava is with us today, and he's a senior Java developer, and I think he's in Germany since last 2 or 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's four and a half.
Okay, then sorry for that. Uh, Also, we crossed 10,000 views on our YouTube channel, which basically shows that people are really interested in what we are providing uh, as a video, and also 700 plus hours of watch time, which means the videos are engaging and people like watching those videos. So even though we just have 350 subscribers, but still 700 hours of watch time is a good thing. And I also wrote 3 blog posts in this website called Germany is Calling. And these blog posts are related to visas and questions and job seeker visa and all those stuff. So you can read through these blogs if you're interested. And the link is germanyscalling.com/blog. I'll move on to the next slide, which is for Karthik. So Karthik is one of our expert who actually got his job from India, and maybe he can explain a little bit on these points. So why Germany, the first steps, and how many jobs you applied for, how much time it took to finally crack the interview, and any tips for others. So maybe Karthik, you can get started, and over to you.
Thanks, Sanu.
Yeah.
So I'll just start with a little bit of background about me. So I'm Karthik now. I'm currently living in Chennai. So I'm close to 4 years of experience in IT, and I did my bachelor's in information technology. I worked as a software engineer in companies like Zoho Corporation and Samsung. I work primarily as a backend engineer, and my primary technologies are Java and Node.js. So this is just a background about me, and I'll move on to the first question. The first question is why Germany? Okay, well, I decided to apply for jobs abroad for various reasons. I just wanted to get an international work experience and also to work with people from various backgrounds, cultures, diverse backgrounds, etc. So I felt that this will increase my exposure, and it will also be a very good step up in my career going forward. I researched about this possibility, and certain countries in Europe really look good. So countries like Germany, Netherlands, UK, Sweden, etc. had plenty of opportunities, especially for software developers. And specifically, Germany had so many amazing companies which really spiked my interest. Also, when I looked closely into the kind of work they are doing, I was really intrigued because they use some really cool cutting-edge technologies and open source tools and whatnot. So also the the possibility of attending meetups and tech conferences within the companies and also by organizations, it really sounded interesting to me. So these are the main reasons why I chose Germany specifically, because like I said, Germany had many cool startups than other countries. So that's the reason I chose Germany. And I'll move to the next question. So how many jobs did I apply for? Well, I applied for 100 plus jobs in Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, and the UK. And most of them replied back with rejection without any reason. Of course, the timing wasn't very good because of the corona situation and the uncertainty of jobs in various companies, especially in the travel sector. There are a lot of laying off in these companies because of the pandemic, and a lot of companies just stopped hiring because of this. And on top of it, I don't have much experience. Like I said, I just have 4 years of experience in India, and companies can just effortlessly hire a software engineer within their country or within the EU region. So all these factors didn't really help me much with the job applications. But anyway, I continued to apply for companies that really interested me. It included all types of companies, right from a startup. It was started like a couple of years ago to a very large company with millions of people as a consumer base. So whenever a company really interested me, I just went on and applied for it. And in spite of all these situations and confusions, I still managed to get some interviews. It was like 10 to 15 interviews from companies. And most of these companies will basically schedule a initial screening call with me. And after that, they'll just reject me because I'm not from EU. And also, I don't know German or Dutch or whatever the local language is. So these are the basic reasons why they rejected me. But of course, they won't tell you during the initial call. But after a couple of days, you'll just get an email saying that we really can't move forward with your application. So this was the situation in most of the companies. Like I said, I kept on doing this for some time. And I'll just move on to the next question. So how much time did it take to crack an interview? Like I said, I got interview invites from certain companies, like a handful of companies. And I just went on through the interview process of some really cool companies. And also some startups wanted me to take some home assignment where I need to work on a project right from scratch. And I need to submit the solution in a week or maybe 10 days. So this was the case. And after this round, they'll mostly schedule a face-to-face interview with the person who approved our project, or like who selected our project. And he'll basically ask questions about the project, like why I chose this method of doing things, why I didn't choose the other way of doing things. Is there any specific reason why I did this, why I didn't do that? So these were the questions I was being asked. And also some follow-up technical questions will be there from the the decisions I made. So there will be some follow-up technical questions. And usually after this, there may be some other technical round or a culture fit round or behavioral round, whatever it is, depends on the company. And finally, there will be an interview with the CTO or the CEO. So this is the case in most of the startups. But unfortunately, I never got to this level. Usually, people will visit me after the submission of the technical project or after the technical discussion. So yeah, this was the case. And the big companies have a very different approach. So they usually have a coding challenge right after the screen call. And after this, we'll be having back-to-back technical discussions and rounds. So we'll be having probably like a technical round a week after the coding challenge, or in some cases, you'll have back-to-back questions in a single day. Back-to-back technical rounds in a single day. probably like 3 to 4 rounds in a single day. That is possible. And in each of these rounds, they can reject us in any of these rounds. So, this was the case, and the most of the questions will be in data structures, algorithms, system design, and also some behavioral questions and culture fit questions, etc. And after all these rounds, we will have a team discussion with the future colleagues we will be joining, and yeah, it will take up like 7 to 8 rounds totally, and this was the model which big companies follow. And fortunately, I was able to crack two interviews. I mean, two companies, two big companies, and I chose the company in Germany. So, in short, the time it took is close to 6 months. Right after I started applying actively to companies in Germany and also in some countries in EU. So yeah, it took me 6 months to finally end up with an offer.
Okay.
And the next is some tips. Okay, I have some tips for people who are looking for jobs in EU. So basically, like, use LinkedIn for your maximum benefit, because LinkedIn is a very powerful tool, and you can search for jobs, you can connect with people, a lot of things you can do with just LinkedIn. Spend some time using LinkedIn every single day. That is the first thing you can do. And the second thing is make some time to network with people who are already in your target country. Probably if you're targeting Germany or Netherlands, make some time to connect with people and talk with people. Just a friendly introduction, message saying that I'm really interested in your company in which you're working. So can you tell me a bit more about your company? So strike up a conversation with people who were in your shoes in the past, because people got jobs sitting from India, so they can help you in most ways you can think of. So Anup is such a person for me. So there are a lot of people in LinkedIn you can strike a conversation with. And the next point I would say is do a lot of research about the company before applying, because you can't go back after applying to a company. You can't say some things like, I don't want to interview with right after applying. You don't want to end up in such a situation. So do a lot of research before the company, before applying, and even after applying, do further research about the company, because you can say some casual things during the interview, which shows that you're really interested in their company. So say it casually, don't overdo it. Just say it casually that I'm really interested in the company, and say some really cool things about it, some things about the company, also the things they're doing recently. You can use Google for help. You can do some searches and get information about what the company are doing right now, which direction they are moving, their business model. Even beyond the technical things, you can just Google things and find out all these things. And the last tip would be like continuously learn things about the technology and the domain you're working with and you're applying for. Also, you can follow some really good practices and the industry standards and specifications. For me, it was like following some good coding practices, following clean code practices, solid design patterns. So all these things really helped me. So if I'm sure there will be some kind of specifications and standardizations in the field you're applying to. So do follow it, because it is really important. It is really followed a lot in companies in EU rather than India. So have some importance for these things. So that's it from me. Those are the tips I have for you, and I'm happy to answer questions from you guys if you have any.
Stanu, if you don't mind, I want to add some points to the Karthik. Like I have 2 points actually which I came across.
Sure.
Because recently I'm also taking some interviews in my company. So
sure, go ahead.
So I found that along with the competitive programming skills and system design, people who are in technical side, if you are able to contribute to some open source projects,
perfect.
Really, that makes you outstanding.
Yes.
Really, because that really shows your interest towards the work actually. So like I have seen like it makes a unique like people who the recruiter who is finding for a particular profile, when he sees such kind of things, it really makes you stand like uniquely like among multiple profiles.
Yeah.
So this is one thing actually which I found very interesting like, in recent times. Yeah, just I want to add this point. Thank you, Anup.
No, I couldn't agree more with you because whenever you are applying for recruiters, usually they just do a quick Google search, and if your name comes up in the first page of Google, that's really a very good sign. And having a very good online presence like GitHub or some other open source, maybe like competitive programming or whatever it is, it really shows a very good opinion about you. So yeah, I agree with you on that point.
Yes. So same here. I would go on to the next slide. I think we can take up the questions towards the end of this presentation. But for now, I'll move on to the next one, which was basically for Raghu. But since he's not here, maybe I can explain these. So these are basically for the resume tips or the CV or the cover letter, whatever you want to, provide along with your application. So for starting with the resume or cover letter, you can go to the website. So our website called germanyscalling.com, and then go to the free resources. There we have link for both resume templates and cover letter templates. So these are the European standard resume formats that you can download and you can edit as well. So just go through those templates which we have there. And if you have questions, I think you can get back to Raghu in Discord. So he will be able to help you out there. So the second one is the available resources in our group. Okay, so this I have already completed. Sorry for that. So some tips from Raghu. He said that always keep your resume as well as cover letter simple. So KISS stands for keep it simple. So make sure that you do not clutter your resume or cover letter with a lot of information. Just keep it to the point so that when the recruiter reads it, he's able to understand what exactly you want to say, because recruiters usually do not have so much time to go through all the detailed information that you write on a resume. So make sure that whatever you write is crisp and clear, but uh, do not forget to write any important information that you want to convey. So always write all the information, but make them in one line or maximum two. Then the second point is avoid repetition, state facts, use grammar checking tools, for example, Grammarly. So these are, I think, some mandatory things that you should do before you submit your resume. So always make sure that there is no grammar error or formatting errors or and all those things. And always save your resume in PDF format. Do not save it in Word format, because most of the time they are using I think Mac, and Word gets all the formatting issues when opened in different operating systems. So it's always preferred to save your resume or CV or cover letter in the PDF format. So I'll go to the next slide, and if you have questions, just note it down and we will take it up towards the end of this presentation. So Nawa, over to you. You have 10 more minutes with you and you can go through these points.
Yeah, thank you, Anup. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this live session.
You're welcome, and thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you. So just I'll give a brief introduction about me. So I'm Nav Krishna. So Anup and I are we are colleagues like in our previous company, like we work together in Infosys. Yeah. So later Anup moved to Augsburg, and then I moved to a different city called Karlsruhe. So here actually Germany, a lot of people say it's very good for like a family, for a if you have a family of 3 or 4, Germany is a very good place to lead a life here. You have like a better quality of life. First of all, I can before starting this, I can give a small thing about it. Where you want to be, either Germany or different country, where you want to be, either it's in a point of earning money, whether you want to be in a capitalistic country or being a socialistic country, which gives you a very strong social security or strong social benefits, basically. So on which side you want to be, you need to choose first before. I'm saying compared to India, you'll get good salary and all, but comparatively people in US are most side on the capitalistic side, like it's all like earning side compared to any other country in the like world, especially in IT. I'm not talking about Middle East, but yeah, just if you compare like US and here. And one more thing, like it's very fortunate that being in Germany, one more thing is now we are seeing the growth of IT in Germany. So that you are in that period, and you're also growing along with the like how IT was growing. We didn't see that growth in my experience. I didn't see that growth when IT was already established in India. Then I joined IT, but now here something all startups are coming, and we are growing with them. So it is very fortunate opportunity for me as well to start a career here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on the salary, like for the average, like I'm a married guy actually. So for a family of three, it is like depending on the city, the average expenses like will be between 1200 to 1500. It's if you compare like Munich, such kind of cities, it's more. But generally, I'm talking about living that costly cities. Like normally, it is 1200 to 1500 euros for a family.
Mm-hmm.
So that includes like all these things: rent, electricity, heating, internet, groceries, and insurances. So one of the thing which I want to stress here is like insurances in Germany. Like if you rent a house, if something goes wrong in your house, the liability cost is huge. There are certain conditions like you need to pay lots of money to landlord, because first of all, being a newcomer here, like you don't know like what is the culture here and all those stuff. And initially we failed to do this because in India we hardly like pay insurances like maximum like life insurance like LIC, everyone knows, but not other insurances. We are not keen to other insurances. But here if you see, when you earn salary, so health insurance is mandatory, automatically deducted from your salary. But apart from that, there are like liability insurances and lawyer insurances, and also you have occupational disability insurances. So like you have different section of insurance you have. So that the main point here is like the basic thing which we need to have is liability insurance. The liability insurance is something, if you're a family guy and if you have a kid, suppose you went to, if someone invited you to their home and if you went there and then a mistake, if something got damaged by your kid in their home, so if it costs like 10,000, 20,000 euro, who will pay it? It's very tough to bear from your hands, correct? So these kind of liability insurances will guard you, like it will help you to like pay you that money on behalf of you for a family. Hardly for yearly you pay 80 to 90 euro in between an average, depending on the insurance you take. For a family, I'm talking. And also like suppose if a lot of landlords, like I don't say a lot, but most like a few of them I have seen, like not in my experience, but with others' experiences also. The landlords, like if you don't know the language, first of all, being not knowing the language, and when you enter Germany and in the first days of your staying in Germany, when you face some problem in apartment and if landlord say you have to pay the money, so then you should have someone to guard you, correct? So then like if it goes to legal thing, like you need to be supported by a lawyer. So you need to, here the lawyers are very expensive. Like just to explain your case, the first meeting itself, they cost you like 200, like 250 euros just to discuss, talk. And after that, if you go further, it is huge. So monthly, it is 20 to 25 euro in between, like if you pay a lawyer insurance. Mm-hmm. And the third thing, occupational disability. So that is something, the occupational disability, suppose because of something you're not able to work, like, or you are able to work only for 4 hours or 3 hours. Suppose your work time is like in total it is 8 hours, but you can work only for 3 hours as per doctor, or 4 hours, or something happened. So you're not able to completely work 8 hours. So the rest of the efforts, whatever, like the hours which you're not working, that is paid as a salary to you by this kind of insurance. We have health insurance, but health insurance is paid when you are in hospital, that to 80% of your salary, not completely. So these are the things are there which we need to know completely, like what insurances are like helpful. Altogether, like if I, whatever the insurance is, leaving a health insurance, whatever the insurance I explained, it's hardly take 100 euros per month for you to spend. But the benefit, people, some like we may not get in our lifetime, but that we don't know. So this is a like all probability, but it's to be safeguard your life. So you can be on the safer side like this. Yeah. The main thing actually here in your salary component, you will pay the public pension as well. But one thing you guys has to like remember that after 5 years of paying your public pension, you receive a letter from your the social security office. So you will receive a letter saying that after your retirement, you are you might get this much salary. They'll mention some figure in that, but that is not guaranteed one. So I strongly say that don't rely on that. Like okay, we have assumption already, we are paying, we will get it, but it's not that way. Like now, because of growing old population and the projection what they see in future, that's why there are other ways to save money here. Like if you are planning to stay for long term, okay, so the private pension, savings account, fixed account, the stock market, all these things. And the private pension is something they will invest. Actually, when you pay a public pension, it is a public fund. You can't take some portion of it and invest it somewhere. It's all about like it's no one touches that. Whatever you go, they will pay to other people who are retired. But in case of private pension, that some portion you can fix that portion. Based on that portion, they'll invest in the funds, basically stock market and different divisions, and rest all will be they save it. So that in long term you get you can take the advantage of it either through stock market or through directly the payments what they provide you. That is one thing. And savings account fixed, no need to mention specifically. The interest rate is very low here.
Yes.
It's no use of putting money in that. And stock market is something which I'm doing. It is very well like it needs its own discussion, because I'll tell the tax rate, what the tax thing, what you're paying for on your salary.
Mm-hmm.
And the tax which you're paying on stock is much lesser. On the stocks, whatever you pay, it's 25%. That too, I'm saying 25.3, I think. That too, if you do a double taxation, that the thing is like if you pay stocks from US, you have to pay tax over there 15%. And when it comes to Germany, you have to pay 10% on the interest, on the profit what you get. So it is very interesting thing, which I did my own analysis and I found it was very interesting to me. And in Immobilien investment, it's a real estate investment, Immobilien investment. So there are two things. You can directly invest in real estate companies, or the other thing is investing on the property, like you buy property like in India. And the good thing, like you need to file tax, because you don't know how much you get like every year. Like this is good to file tax every year here. So also maintain a good credit score for you, because to get loans and all. So you pay your credit card bills on time and you'll get like good credit score. This is called Schufa report in Germany. So it's very important everywhere, wherever there is a financial things are involved. Yeah, average like you can save around 1,000 to 2,000 euros per month, depending upon your like expenditure and lifestyle. Yeah. These are the main things which I want to specify here. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for all these information, Noah. It's really useful. So I would say next is our Q&A, but before that, let's take a small selfie.
Maybe shortly after that, from the time it started in FB, then the WhatsApp group from his first video. Yeah. And I'm also very grateful to be here, and I can really see the growth, as Anup is saying, and also every time I'm now also appreciating Anup's effort and the progress Germany is got so far. It's really amazing. And I also personally gained a lot of information, and also constrained myself or improved myself in applying jobs in Germany and how to train myself. My chances also pretty increased in that. And I also want to thank Rahu here. He helped me a lot in reaching for the step. But even recently, I got a message. I after Anup's video on the LinkedIn Premium, I made it, and I also got a message from one company called Somnox. The CEO of the CEO is the one who also posted the job opening, and he replied me, "Your profile is impressive and everything," but yeah, he told that we are looking only for Europe. So
Okay.
this is the level so far I am. Maybe it improves. So my question to I forgot the name.
Nava
I think
or
yeah.
okay.
The one who the software tester who recently came to Germany based on his 6 months efforts. I wanted to know how many interviews he got until the final round, like after completing his startup project for that company, and how many interviews like that he got rejected at that phase, the moment where he thought everything is done.
So this is
Like
for
how many
Karthik.
opportunities?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for Karthik. Sorry for forgetting his name.
So Karthik, you there?
Before answering, I'm not in Germany. I'm still in India right now. So I'm going to Germany the next month. So I just want to mention that. And what was your question? Can you tell me once more, because I didn't listen properly.
Yeah, my question is that you said like most of the companies will ask for a small project to make it for them, and at the final round they will be telling either or the other thing, like we are not in Europe or something like that. So how many opportunities like that came up for you? Like how many opportunities missed in the final moment?
Okay. I think I got your question. So I think there was a small misunderstanding, because companies don't actually tell you we can't hire you still as you're not in EU after the project submission. They will mostly tell you before the project submission. So that was the case with me in most of the companies. And so basically, after submitting the project, they'll reject you on the basis of your performance, only on your performance, and not based on your nationality or whatever it is. So that was the case. So what I faced is close to 10, 15 companies made a call. I mean, had the initial call, screening call, and they rejected me because I'm not in EU. So that was the case. And close to 3, 4 companies, like startups, they offered me to just make a project and analyze it. So that was the case. So unfortunately, I was not able to crack past the interview after the project submission. So I really can't tell you how it went in this final CEO or CTO rounds. Basically, like after the discussion of the project, they just have a call with CEO or CTO. So I never went to that stage.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you answered my question. The question I asked it because I know how difficult it is to go there and fail. So I want to let everyone know who is willingly applying for jobs in Germany. So they before applying, they have to be very, very good in what they are applying for. That is the reason. So like the getting a chance is a very difficult thing. And after getting a chance and losing it is more difficult.
Yes.
That is why I asked.
Exactly. Yeah. So any other questions? Anyone?
Yeah, Anup, Subha here.
Yeah. Hi, Subha.
It's maybe general question that right now the German is, allowing them visa processing, or they are holding due to COVID situation.
So what I have heard is for the job seeker visa, it's currently on hold. So the job seeker visa is not being processed, but if you get a job directly from India and you get an employment contract, then you can apply for an employment visa, which is currently functional. So guys, I think we'll have to stop here. And if you have more questions, maybe just continue in the Discord channel, because there are other people also who are, I think, waiting. So does anyone else have any questions? If not, then we can end the meeting here. Anyone else?
Yeah, thanks all. Anant here. Thanks, Anu, for this opportunity. So I had some couple of questions, but it was answered.
Okay.
I'm a family man and have 10 years of experience into SAP HCM.
Okay.
So I just wanted to understand, is it the right decision to come over there with a 6 months what is that visa? Job seeker visa.
Yeah, I would suggest you wait until this corona issue is, kind of settled, because at the
Hmm.
moment, the first of all, the job seeker visa itself is not, I think, available. You
Yeah.
cannot
Mhm.
apply for it, but I'm not sure. You can check it in India. But other than that, if you come to Germany, then I don't see a reduction in the number of jobs. So as Nava also mentioned earlier, the number of jobs have not reduced that much, or we have seen an increasing trend instead. So if you reach Germany, then it's all fine. But coming to Germany itself is a issue at the moment.
Thanks, Anand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this Anand? Can I have one question? That you said that you're working for HCL. Is that correct?
HCM, yeah, SAP HCM.
SAP HCM. Okay.
Not HCL. Okay, then thank you all for joining the meeting today, and we will have another one next month, of course, and I'll share the details in the Discord channel soon. So, thanks for joining and have a great weekend.